Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. And today, I'm going to be telling you guys my boot order predictions for Survivor Winners at War. Now, some of this list may not make sense to you. This was actually a really hard list for me to make because it's winners. Most of these winners did come back to play a second time. They didn't win their first time, and a lot of them do really well. So it's really hard to know who's gonna go when. But I also went based off of other boot order predictions, and these were the ones that I thought were best. So some of these are pretty much guaranteed, I think, based off of other predictions. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first person who's going to be voted out, someone who would probably just be a swing vote, caught in the middle, someone who might, and also unfortunately someone who might be a little bit irrelevant towards Survivor, not a winner that's not as memorable. Unfortunately, Sophie, I, this is seriously, this is just she. She was she was a winner that was really, I didn't, when I was watching South Pacific, I wasn't expecting it at all. She was more of a under the radar person. Basically used the original Sandra strategy. Make sure it ain't me. Um, it's not that she's irrelevant. It's the fact that she's just more of she's very likely to be a swing vote and get caught up in the middle, and people see that as a threat and vote her out. Number two, we have Sarah, who was the winner of Game Changers. Um, so Sarah is that she's a big threat in Survivor. Um, People probably know of her winning Game Changers. So she's also I don't know if she is I don't know what tribe she's on. Let me check real quick. I know this is super professional, guys. Okay. So she's on the same tribe as Tony. And I feel like Tony would probably be plotting his revenge um, to get her out. So he would probably blindside her, and that's probably why she would go out. And yeah, that's what's going through my head. Number three, we have Boston Rob. He has been predicted by every list that I know of as early boot. Now, keep in mind there is Edge of Extinction, and I'll be doing it based off of the actual Edge of Extinction season. After 6 go, we have Edge of Extinction, Merge. Then we have another Edge of Extinction when it's Final 5. But Boston Rob was predicted second out and third out, mainly third out of the 5 lists I looked at. So that's where I'm putting him. I feel like he would go out because he would either play way too hard at the beginning, or people would just see him as a threat and like, hey, let's just get Rob out as quickly as possible before he does become that super big threat. At number 4, we have Tyson, who was the winner of Survivor Blood vs. Water. I should probably say Boston Rob won Redemption Island. But I see Tyson. He was a hard one to figure out. I feel like he would just be Tyson and make a really stupid decision and screw up his game. He's the only one of the only people that I know in this season that might be able to do that. He's a goofy guy, but he does know how to play. He does know how to play the game, but he probably would screw up. I feel like he would screw up, and I feel like people would see Tyson as that much of a threat to vote him off this early. It was a really hard decision to put him here, but I did see him as an early boot once or twice. So yeah. Number 5, we got Tony. I feel like people would see him as an idol threat because he's really good at finding idols, and maybe he would have one in his pocket, and they just wouldn't. They'd just say, "Hey, we're good," and he'd get blindsided. I mean, he's one who, when his game gets screwed over, and he's essentially the first time he gets targeted, he gets screwed over, and then goes out later on. Number 6, and this is Parvati. Um, Believe me, I'm really skeptical. I don't even know if this is going to happen. Parvati, who knows what the heck she's going to do when she goes on Winners at War. I feel like it's really unexpected what Parvati's going to do. She in Cook Islands, she didn't do as well. She didn't really play as crazy strategy. But she did really well in Micronesia and Heroes versus Villains. I think she's here to play a different game than she did back then. So I feel like maybe a change in her game might be her fault in the season. Then Edge of Extinction, Rob comes back. He in all the lists I've seen, he's gone to Extinction and come back in. So, but I saw him going early a lot more, so I decided to stick him in an early vote off, and then have him return on Edge of Extinction because it makes sense. He's super strong player, physically, so I really think that he would probably come back on Edge of Extinction. Once again, number 6 we have Ben. Ben, I feel like going into the season he might be a little cocky. I really don't know why. It just kind of seems that way. And I feel like he'd maybe try a little too hard, like Boston Rob would, or people would just see him as that. It's that this first merge vote isn't really about trying to make a big move, and he might be willing to make a big move at merge. He's really smart. Ben is really smart. He knows how to keep his mouth shut because he didn't tell anyone about his idol, and that's what really got him the win in Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. But I feel like he may be just an early merge boot because he's trying to play the game harder the second time around. At number 7, we have Kim. Kim is one of those players who is known for being a physical player over being a strategical player. She does play a lot of strategy. That could make her a threat. I feel like maybe people notice her being really good physically in challenges. She probably wins the first immunity. That's what I'm going to take a good snap at. She wins the first immunity. And then she loses the second one, and she has nowhere else to go, and she gets voted out. So that's why I think of her at 7. Number 8, we're 2 tribals into the merge after Edge, and I feel like at this point, it's somebody who nobody noticed until this point, and they got voted out, and it was a realization, and this person is Denise. I think she was a real unexpected winner in Philippines, but I think she's a good player. She worked with Malcolm, and unfortunately, he had to be let go at the Final Four, and she won. So I feel like she would be an unnoticed player, underestimated player until this point, and unfortunately, I feel like she would get voted out, blindsided. And if you can't tell, a lot of the people who played more recently tend to have been going early. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's really sometimes when they played can also affect can also affect. You'll notice that a lot of the people who play now are towards the bottom of the list, and a lot of the people who played a bit longer ago will probably be at probably higher up. So yeah. Number 9, we have Sandra. Sandra, her placement was all over the place. Usually she's either towards the very beginning or towards the very end of a list. She was first boot, second boot. I think she was also top 7. I saw her all over the place. I decided to kind of stick her right in the middle. Because Sandra probably would have pulled out an idol at some point at the beginning of the merge. This is 3 votes in, my bad. 3 votes in. And then you have Sandra. I feel like it would just make sense because, she can't. There's a second Edge of Extinction. I feel like people would realize that unfortunately, she's not that great physically, and she probably couldn't win Edge of Extinction. Number 10 is Natalie. Now, Natalie and Jeremy, who were really good allies in San Juan del Sur, Blood vs. Water, they were really good allies. So I feel like Natalie, who was really she played the game well in San Juan del Sur, but she really showed it in the very end, and that's what kind of gave her the win. And she was very smart with using her idol and trying to get Keith out. So that was smart. But I feel like her and Jeremy probably coming together in the merge didn't get was probably eventually noticed, and then it had just been seen at this point. People were like, oh, we gotta get him out. So that's probably why. That's why. And Natalie and Jeremy, I'm guessing, would have won immunity, so Natalie would have gone. Number 11, we have Jeremy. Um, Usually when you have a a duo, usually they get far, but this season it's all winners, you know. I feel like one of them would eventually go. One of them can win immunity and one of them can't, but one of them could have an idol. Who knows? Jeremy and Natalie have both found idols, I believe, but with the fact that we got Tony and Ben, who are pretty much the king of idols, I guarantee you there would probably not be an idol in their hands. So I feel like that's why one would go immediately after the other. So yeah, that's why. Number 12, we have Adam. Adam and Nick, who are very recent players, would probably be underestimated. And I feel like maybe Adam, by this point, would have tried to make a big move and unfortunately not done so well. He's made moves. He made moves in Millennials versus Gen X, which did further him, and he was able to get on people's good side. So that's. But I feel like people would be like, "Oh, Adam, wait a second, we forgot about this guy." So I feel like they would eventually notice him and get him out. Number 13, we have Nick. This is the same with Nick. Oh, whoa, forgot about him. He's the latest winner that we know of, season 37. I would think he would have made it further. Um, because, you know, very underestimated player, younger on the younger side, and the fact that he's the latest winner of the season would add that on. But I feel like they would have noticed him under the radar. He'd probably have teamed up with Adam, maybe. Who knows? At number 14, we have Wendell. Wendell, this one, he's a hard guy to read. He's got a really good social game, so I feel like he would charm his way through the game until people would kind of like, you know, he's just like, there's a point in the game where it's more of you're trying to get as many people out that you think would vote you instead of, you know, just trying to get out threats. Because by this point, a lot of the big threats are gone, aside from probably Rob, Yule. So Wendell would be a big social threat, and they would notice that, and they would probably end up voting him out. Number 15, which is after this is the next Edge of Extinction, is Ethan. Now, Ethan is such an old winner that, I mean, the last time he played was All-Stars, but he didn't make it that far in All-Stars, and he would probably be suspected as the least threatening player all the way through. And who knows, maybe he volunteered to be voted out to go to Edge of Extinction and try and win. Who knows what he would do here, but he is in my top 6, and it's top 6 right now. So I feel like Ethan would most likely end up being voted out at this point, because Rob and Amber are together, and who knows, Amber probably is teamed up with another one of the other girls, and it could have tied, who knows, or it could have ended up 4-2, 5-1. I just think this Ethan is like, it's hard to predict where everybody would be voted out, but I feel like at this point Ethan would probably end up going. But I'm predicting that Ethan comes back on Edge of Extinction to try and fight once more. Going up against the other people, he would have just barely nipped the win. If it wasn't Ethan, then it was either going to be Jeremy or Wendell. But I really feel like Ethan probably would have. It would have probably been close. If it wasn't Ethan, then it would have been Jeremy, and Jeremy probably would have gotten to the end and won. But I'm seriously predicting that Boston Rob is pretty much guaranteed to win on Edge of Extinction. But I feel like there could be a chance where it's like a mess up in Edge of Extinction. Jeremy's freaking out, or Wendell's freaking out. They're trying to just finish the challenge, but they don't, and Ethan stays calm and wins. So that's what I was predicting. And then number 15, we have Rob. By this point, Edge of Extinction is no more. Let's say Rob doesn't win immunity and Michelle or Danny takes it. Danny's a pretty physical player, so I feel like Danny would have taken it, maybe. And Rob's gone because he is just such a good player, such a physical player. He can't come back from being voted out now. So I feel like this is smart. But I feel like they would keep Amber. So yeah, that's why I feel like they would get Rob out. 16, we have Ethan. Yes, Ethan's at number 5 because, now they're just trying to get everyone out that got back in. They're trying to do the best they can. And I feel like the 3 girls that are left probably have banded together after Rob got voted out, and they vote out Ethan. Number 4, who is my decoy winner, somebody who you would think would win or would pretty much be guaranteed to win at the very end, is Yule. Yule he has a lot of knowledge going into the game. He played very well in Cook Islands. I feel like he should have played on Game Changers for using his idol to his advantage. He used his idol to his advantage by telling John Penner to flip. So I feel like he's really smart and really good at persuasion and the social game. He's so good at it. So I feel like he'd be a decoy winner, and they get him out of Final 4. Now, here we are, Final 3. Amber, Michelle, and Danny. Now, Amber already has 1 vote because of Boston Rob. But I feel like she's not getting any other votes because she's Boston Rob's wife. So I feel like, nobody would think to vote her. She probably wouldn't have played the game that much throughout the season. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound rude, but I feel like she would probably kind of lay low and wait till till she meets up with Rob again. Between Michelle and Danny, I feel like Danny would pull out the win. Danny was actually supposedly has been rumored to be Jeff's winner pick. Although he probably knows the winner because this is all pre-recorded and he's already tallied the votes for the winner. So I'm taking a smack dab guess or whatever that Jeff put down the actual winner. Unless he didn't, and this was just before Winners at War was a thing, before they even went out and recorded it. But Michelle would get second, and Danny would just destroy them with the votes. Michelle, the only vote she would get would probably be, I have no clue. I know Amber would probably get 1, Michelle would probably get 1, and then Danny would collect all the rest. So that is my boot order prediction for Survivor Winners at War. Let me know if you think, in the comments below, if you think somebody else should have taken the win, or maybe even send me your prediction list in the comments below. But yeah, that's all I got to say, and I'll see you guys later. I am so excited for Season 40.